And I do want to take a moment here before we move on to Mark's segment, who we're very happy to hear from, to kind of conclude everything for us. I do want to take this moment to highlight Iran, a country of 90 million plus million who just entered a devastating 12-day war with Israel just recently. To me, they always say sanctions are peaceful alternative to war, but in reality, they're really silent weapons of war, right? And when you strip away diplomatic language, what we're really left with is policy that starves civilians, blocks access to medicine, devastates economies, and silences the very people, the very working class people who are moving towards progress. Unfortunately, Iran is one of the most sanctioned countries in the world right now, second only to Russia. And these sanctions are not targeted, they're suffocating. And they have not weakened the state, which is what they're meant to do, supposedly. And they have not brought about the democratic reform claimed in policy memos. What they have done is collapse the middle class, crush civil society, and really deepen the grip of hardline power in Iran. In 2015, following the nuclear deal, JCPOA, there was a brief moment when civil society in Iran could actually breathe. Organizations began reconnecting with the international community. Women's rights campaigns found new energy. Artists, environmentalists, students, they could finally begin to imagine a different kind of future. But when the US unilaterally withdrew from the agreement in 2018 under the Trump administration and reimposed sanctions under the so-called maximum pressure campaign, that opening door slammed shut, right? And the economy plummeted. The real lost 90% of its value. Inflation surged past 50%. Medicine became scarce. And even though humanitarian goods are technically exempt, banks refused to process transactions, fearing secondary sanctions. Children with cancer were left without treatment. Patients with epilepsy, hemophilia, they were told their lives were simply too risky to be a bank transaction. And while the people suffered, the state adapted. Hardliners in Iran have learned how to survive under sanctions. In fact, they thrive in them. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which controls major sectors of the economy, took over trade routes, smuggling operations, black market imports. As legitimate businesses shut down, state affiliated entities filled the void. And as civic organizations lost funding, hardliners' networks consolidated control. What sanctions have done is this: they've empowered the unaccountable and disempowered the hopeful. They have extinguished the oxygen that the civil society needs to grow, connection, access, stability, and replaced it with isolation, scarcity, and fear. In 2020, as COVID ravaged Iran, humanitarian organizations warned of catastrophe. The UN called for the easing of sanctions. Iranian doctors begged for supplies, but nothing changed. The sanctions remained untouched, unquestioned, while people died from the lack of ventilators and basic protective equipment. And let's be very clear and be very honest. This isn't just about what happens inside of Iran. These policies ripple outward. Iranian Americans trying to send money to loved ones are blocked. Students are denied access to tuition payments. US nonprofits offering disaster relief are threatened with legal action. And we've criminalized compassion, not to punish the regime, but to maintain the illusion of leverage. So, what has this accomplished? It has not stopped the enrichment of uranium in Iran, and it did not. It has not curbed Iran's regional activities. It has not brought political prisoners back home, but it has created a society where survival takes precedence over dissent, where people are too exhausted to dream of change, let alone demand it. And this isn't an oversight, it's a future of economic warfare, really. And while policy experts may debate effectiveness and officials may cite strategy, the truth is very simple. Sanctions are collective punishment. And who knows better than the Iranians who live in Iran right now, starving for just simple bread and rice and meat, right, to feed their children. They punish children for the decisions of generals. They punish poets, professors, shopkeepers, while powers adapt, survive, and hardliners continue becoming more totalitarian.